training session in Thailand. I was out with the boys with Nick and Paul. They're training for a race, the Great Mekong Bike Race, which is quite a lot of flats. They decided to do some flat intervals, so I was like, might as well. Obviously, I did come to Thailand for the climbs, but when there's a bit of training stimulus, if you get invited on things like this, it's always good to do a bit more stimulus for the training. So anyway, we had two 15-minute intervals with a 5-minute recovery. And oh god, I paced this very badly, because you sort of think like, it's a 15-minute interval and then another 15-minute interval, so it should be fine. So anyway, the first interval I went out way too hard, averaged like 3:30 for the first 5 to 10 minutes, and then just died, and averaged like 3:17, which is actually sort of my threshold, a little bit over threshold. Threshold was probably about 3:10 to 3:15 maybe at the moment on the climb. So I was on the flat, it's a little bit low. I can't push the same power, so I was really struggling. I think I averaged like 45 down here though, which I was pretty happy about. This is the end of the interval, so the watts you can see are pretty low, and also obviously at the end of the interval, for most people, they find it very hard to keep consistent power. So you'll see I suddenly go way above 320, which is roughly my average, 315, and then way below it because I find it hard to keep the power. My cadence was pretty good. Normally on the flat I have a slightly lower cadence than the climbs. I have 85 on the flats, and then maybe 85 to 90 on the climbs. But on this, I actually had quite good cadence, which I was happy about. And you can see my hands going everywhere because I'm just trying to find a comfortable position, sort of get rid of the pain. But it really did hurt this one. Then I had 5-minute rest, and I had another one. And my second interval was an absolute disaster. I just died. I just couldn't hold power. I held like 270 for the 15 minutes. But I did have like a 1-minute rest in the middle because I was like, I'm not going to be able to complete this, so I might as well have a 1-minute rest. So here we go, turning around. There's Paul and Nick. So they set off 30 seconds and a minute ahead, respectively. So Nick was all the way ahead, which is like, obviously there was no way I was going to catch them because they're way faster than me on the flat. So there was no way I was ever going to catch them. But anyway, it was good training. And just I held Paul for a bit at the beginning, like the first 5 minutes. I probably held him on my first interval, but then I just died. And on the second interval, it wasn't even close. He was just flying away. He averaged like 2k an hour faster on the way there. So I averaged 44, he averaged 46, and I think Nick was like 48 or something, which is insane. But anyway, it was really good training, and it's really interesting trying to see the difference between pushing on the flat and the climbs. For me, I find I can get pretty good on the flat, like almost close to my climbing, or about the same, if I really just train on the flats, but I haven't really been doing I haven't done any threshold intervals in the last month, pretty much, because I've just been racing. So that guy overtook us, which we were not happy about. But anyway, here's my interval. This is the beginning part where I feel relatively good. See, decent cadence, decent power, but already you can see I'm getting down to like 250 watts, and you just know that there's no way I'm going to be able to hold like over 300 watts. This is really what I want to do on this interval. But anyway, it was sort of one of those things where you just have to take the L and just realize it's good mental practice just to really hurt yourself, and also just realize that it's still good training. I mean, this is more like sweet spot intensity, but it felt a lot worse. But I don't know, it's all good. So we also did a bit of motor pacing at the end, which is always good fun, because these roads in Thailand are so fast, like 250 watts, 38, 39k an hour, and this was probably a slight headwind and slight uphill as well. So you think on the way there, it was insane how fast we could go. I love it. I really like going very fast on the flat, especially when it's properly flat like this, not undulating. You just chuck it in a gear and just grind it out. I really do like it. So then afterwards we just I think altogether it was like a 2.5 hour ride, 80 something K. But yeah, it was basically real chill before, real chill afterwards, and just the intervals were basically full gas as high as you can go and just kill yourself as much as possible. And I think, I'll probably be doing more hill intervals because I'm here to climb hills because that's what I really enjoy. Hopefully I'll be doing a bit of racing here as well, and just chilling out with people. So here's a bit of motor pacing. We got up to 56, I think it was, behind this guy. Obviously motor pacing can be a bit dangerous, but luckily this guy you could sort of see through, and me and Paul weren't that close, so Paul's the wheel next to me, and we weren't going that crazy. If we really wanted to get a real good draft, we were right next to the motorbike, right next to the van. But we were nah, there's no real need. The draft was pretty good here, and he wasn't really hitting it that hard. 50k an hour might seem quite fast, but on these roads, it's not that crazy. And motor pacing, you can see the watts we're doing, I'm barely pedaling. And then as soon as the guy accelerates, you then have to put in a little burst just to get up to speed. And then after that, it's chill. So anyway, there's my training. First day in Thailand, properly training. So cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.